Good morning, everyone. Suzanne Taylor King here for another Friday live conversation. And today you're in for a treat on Unlock Your Way with STK. This is a new connection of mine, Thomas Rosenberg. He is a incredible coach, and I already know that from one conversation, who has a really unique take on the executive pathway. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. It is a joy to be here this morning.
Oh, I'm so excited for our conversation. And I first, since the show is called Unlock Your Way, how did you find your way to being a somatic executive coach? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the unlock for me, just to cut to the chase, and I'll back up here after that, was a near fatal bicycle accident and hitting the road at a little under 40 miles an hour about 11 and a half years ago. But for me, like the through line in my career has always been getting people comfortable with change, leading through change, and thriving. And growing up in a medical and scientific family, I didn't feel that I had permission, for lack of a better word, to be able to follow that path myself. And so it took the accident to make me realize that I had been backing myself into other people's boxes, and that with whatever life energy I have left, that I wanted to spend it bringing people back to themselves so that we can more easily connect with each other.
I don't love that you had a bike accident. I've been a lifelong cyclist, so I understand what's involved there. But this idea of adversity triggering that for you is really inspiring, because I think so many times people are held back by failure, adversity, injury, illness, you name it. And it's actually such a huge opportunity for growth if we allow it to be.
Oh, absolutely. And if we think back to even just general childhood development, we need to have, it's the constraints in life that move us through, that teach us what we need to learn. Even if it's walking. Right? It's like you stand up and you're not steady on your feet because muscles haven't fully strengthened to the point where you can balance, right? It's like, oh, I need to balance this way.
But you still do it, right? You still do it. And that's really incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to touch on something that I noticed about you. And maybe this will surprise you. So we were introduced by someone, and we had a connection call, which, I do very limited number of those these days, and it was such a treat. But I want to say what I noticed in our conversation, that I don't notice with a lot of people. There was an openness and a willingness to have a more meaningful conversation than just you telling me about your program, your offers, who you serve, and how much you charge, and what referrals you could get from me. It was like a real, genuine connection, conversation with really not a business focus. And that means a lot to me, because that's kind of how I roll, and you get my style already. And I want to know where that came from with you. Has that been always who you are, or did you have to work towards that?
Well, thank you. I feel very, very flattered and very seen. So thank you. Uh, I feel like it was always there. I feel like that was modeled by my maternal grandfather.
Mhm.
It took a lot of bumps even before the accident for me to feel like I could show that side of myself in a professional way.
Mhm.
Because, at least in my experience, in a male body, there's a certain way you have to show up. This is
Mhm.
what it means to be a leader. This is what it means to be a professional.
Mhm.
And so meeting someone with softness, with an open heart, is vulnerable. And of course, there's also behind that is, and where I am today, not that I'm finished with it, but there's a lot of inner child work,
Mhm.
and an inner child afraid of being judged, of
Mhm.
being criticized, of not being seen, of not getting approval. And so, how do you bring that child, parent that child into a way where the guard can come down and the
Mhm.
softness? Because that's also what I've learned through my work in somatics is we have to soften in order to open. And when we open, then we can connect with ourselves because we know what's going on in our inner world.
Mhm.
But then that allows us, even through mirror neurons, to connect with other people around us.
Mm. Do you think that your corporate, I don't even know anything about your corporate experience, but do you think as a man in corporate,
Hmm.
do you think that's the standard? Like, that's the you know, that's what you're led to believe you have to be, is the cold and bossy and standoffish, and that you can't be open because that's considered a weakness, and,
Mm.
uh, Gordon, just said society's
Yeah.
requirements for men, sadly,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, coming out of college, entering the workforce, the biggest CEO on this in collective conscience was Jack
Mhm.
Welch.
Mm. Mhm.
So I would not consider him to be, I never met him in person, but I would not imagine it to be a warm, fuzzy experience.
No, he's kind of like when I think about that, um, I started in coaching as a health coach and
Mhm.
fitness trainer in person. So a lot of my work was, in the same room with
Right.
people. So that's a little different. But before that, I was a dental hygienist for 20 years
Mhm.
and everybody was afraid of me. So
Yeah.
I had to work in my mind, I had to work harder to be open, kind, loving,
Mm.
caring,
Mhm.
empathetic, deal with stressed out people, nervous people, children. I got all the kids in my office. Like, if there was a 3-year-old coming in for their first appointment, give it to Sue,
Yeah.
give it to Sue, right? And so, I think that practice over the years kind of
Mhm.
helped, but as a woman, um, there's a motherly thing in leadership
Yep.
that we can embrace if we
Yeah.
choose to, if we're
Mhm.
open. But I think for men, the Jack Welch style, the David Goggins style
Mhm.
of fitness
Mhm.
training, shame and blame and
Yep.
and I'm gonna tell you what to do and you better lazy blah blah blah.
Right.
You know, I like that style because I grew up without that style. I grew up, in a very warm, loving, nurturing, praise the good behavior
Mhm.
type of way. But I notice for men, it's very, very scary to lean into not being an ego-driven, macho, bossy person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What has that been like for you to really step into that?
Mm. It feels like coming home, but I also, you have to give yourself permission. And
Mm,
what you're pointing to, Suzanne, is just the sites of shaping that we all experience.
mhm,
And you can orient this either from the outside in or from the inside out, but we have the individual who's growing up in a family and having their own lived experience. So you might have one experience, your sibling's going to have a different experience, even though
mhm.
it's the same family.
Yeah.
You have your community, however you define that, whether that's the town or a religious community or what have you, or both. And then you've got institutions like governments and schools, and then you've got social norms and the social norms of what it means to be in a female body or a male body, and how you're supposed to show up in
Mhm,
all of that. And then there's also landscape and spirit. And so the climate, the environment where you grow up impacts how you respond to different
mm,
stimuli. Um,
yeah.
so for me, I grew up in the woods. My parents are out in
Mhm,
the woods of South Central Connecticut, and it was really peaceful. It's just a
mm,
really, they're surrounded by 30,000 acres of state forest. It's just really relaxing and tranquil, and that makes a
wow.
huge difference. And so that's my baseline for my nervous system. And yet going into the workforce, into any sized organization, it's like, oh, well, I have to show up this way, and this is what we do in the, in the woods, but then this is, well, I have to
Mhm,
be, this is what it means to be a professional in the city. And it was in some ways like I was bifurcating.
mhm,
And so it was, I could relax, I could just unwind. And that's, so it's been working towards a place where I can come back to myself and just sort of say, oh, this is who I am authentically, and this is how I want to walk through the world.
yeah. Well, I think that's what it means when, authenticity is such a buzzword, in the online space. Oh, just be yourself. You won't have imposter syndrome. You're not pretending. But it's
Mhm.
but it's deeper than that. It's just not about just being yourself. It's knowing yourself.
Mhm.
Um and what you're saying, this person you were or are, and then the person you thought you had to be in the corporate space were two different people. And
Yeah.
what kind of work was required? What was the path that kind of showed you this journey for yourself?
So I got to a point in my career where my leadership was incredibly cerebral,
Mm,
because coming from a medical and scientific family, intellectual prowess is highly
yeah,
prized. And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
proving, your expertise in how you are able to explain things or the resources you can draw upon at a
Yeah.
moment's notice is prized. And yet I was finding increasing levels of dissatisfaction with work. And
Mm,
there were also some, I'll say, misalignments or disalignment with how my values and what I was seeing manifest. And I'm like, okay, they're talking the same values, but they're not living the same values.
yes.
And
Yes.
and that really got me frustrated. And I don't know if the frustration ended up being what caused per se my sense of stagnation in my career, but it's like all of a sudden expected next steps didn't happen. And then of course there were other issues, just like economic meltdowns like 2008, 2009, and things, organizations shifting, reducing size, etc. But that was really saying, oh, it's like I need to find a different path. And what does that path look like? Because I had been at that point in 2008 to 2011, I had been almost 10 years as a management consultant. And I'm like, well, maybe I just move inside for a change. But those opportunities weren't there either. And because people saw me as a consultant, not as an inside person. And so, and then I started doing inner work and taking different courses and just starting to deepen and work towards living in a heart first manner.
I love that. I wonder if one course for you kind of stood out in that it led you, because I sense that you're like me, curious, learn something, that something leads to the next something that opens up something else, and you just go there. Is that how it happened for you?
Well, the universe conspires, right? So,
Yes.
and when the student's ready, the teacher arrives.
Uh-huh.
So when you start shifting what you're looking for, you start becoming aware of new things. And there was certainly 2013 and just up until just before my accident in 2014, so the first half of 2014, I participated in 2 rounds of something that no longer exists in the same format, but called the Ecology of Leadership.
Okay.
That was run. It was founded by a friend of mine, Christopher Kuntz, and his now wife, Katya Stoll, and they, along with someone who has since passed, James Stark, but it was leadership development with permaculture. And just coming from the woods, and it really resonated with me. And we were, it was a 4-month program and weekends. And so I went through it once as a participant. And the second time I went through it, I was holding space as a graduate facilitator. And it really opened my eyes to a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
And it was through that second round that I met someone who really proved to be inspirational to me. So this woman, KC, and it was unfortunately just a couple years after that, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And she asked me and my wife to be among 8 people who helped her transition. And that was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had. But KC inspired me because she found ways to share all of her gifts. And she didn't shy away. And she died with grace, surrounded by community. And coming out of my accident and still just beginning at that point to trust my brain again after the traumatic brain injury, I just saw like, well, what more do you want in life but to die with grace, surrounded by community, and have lived richly? And so that's been my guiding mantra ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's something really incredible there, because in this online space, whether you're a coach or an entrepreneur or a service provider who's just looking to meet people in the online space, so much of it is income and ego driven. Look at me, I did this and this, and I made $20 million. Or some of my favorites are, the young people claiming 300,000 a month, 600,000 a month, and everything seems so income oriented. And
Mhm.
for the newer person in this space, it can feel like it's all real almost, like it's all truth, and that's the standard that I need to live up to. And I read something this morning. I'm a big fan of Justin Welsh, who is a major influencer on LinkedIn, but in a way that feels simple, you know, working 4 days a week or 3 days a week and traveling and having an impact. His paid community, I think, is $300 a year.
Mhm.
But here's what he said this morning, that what if the goal was to have a simple lifestyle business? Simple. One operating system, one way of being with your clients, and just enough abundance to do for yourself and your family and contribute to community or society.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think there's something right now brewing that people are feeling more and more like that's what they want.
Mhm.
Do you notice that with the executives that you work with as well?
Some,
Mm,
not all of them. I feel like, you know, I had one client who came to me after a decadal birthday and really felt that they were on the wrong track and they needed
mm,
help
mhm.
realigning
Yeah.
how they were living with how they wanted to live.
Mhm.
And we did that. And it was beautiful to see the change in how this person showed up as
Mm.
parent, spouse, as well as president of a small
Yeah,
consulting firm.
yeah.
And but there are others who are still stuck in the expectations of others.
Mhm.
This is how this is supposed to be. This is the title, this is the car, this is the house. Just get me the next promotion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I have the opportunity, I am inviting my clients to go underneath that story. What's underneath that? And
Mhm.
how can you know, like, where's that motivation? It's fine if you need to make a certain amount of money to live wherever you live and to support your family in a dignified manner. But are you doing it because somebody told you to do it, or because it's what you really want to be doing and how you want to be
Yeah,
walking through the world?
yeah.
And that requires taking off armor that we've been carrying for a long time.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that question, though, and I routinely revisit that question.
Mhm.
Am I doing and being what Suzanne wants? And that requires some bravery, um, especially when you're a public figure, or you have clients, or you have, you know, a certain amount of people paying you for something, because what if I don't wanna do that anymore? That's very intimidating, when you really think about it. And I I think bravery, uh, is really required in order to serve other people profoundly. Somebody came to me recently who wanted to start a business,
Mhm.
which I love that. It's one of my favorite conversations. And they had ideas. We expanded on those ideas. And then I said, "How much runway do you have financially?" "Oh, well, none. I have to do this. I need income this month."
Mhm.
And the bravery required here to say, "Don't start a business, go get a job,
Yeah.
and we'll work on your business over the next year,"
Mhm.
is shocking to most people when I
Mhm.
say stuff like that. But I don't edit it anymore
Right.
because I understand that that truth sometimes is what is required in those conversations, right? That it makes me better at what I do. And what did that look like, stepping into your truth? How did it improve who you were being as a coach, but
Mm.
also, like, deeper as a partner? You're married, you have children, like, how did it improve those relationships for you?
So to talk about the relationships first,
Mhm.
I'm very fortunate to be married to someone who loves me, not in spite of, but because of my foibles and quirks.
Yeah.
And so always felt seen by her
Mhm.
and fully accepted. But she's been an incredible supporter of this journey that I've been on. And also just the TLC that she gave me after the accident was
Yeah, yeah.
um perhaps why I've recovered as well as I have, but it's the just being able to open, to be able to soften,
Mm,
to not feel like I have anything I have to prove, whether it's friends or family, and that I can share all of me. There are friends I realize looking back in that didn't see parts of me because I had to show up. It's like, oh, well, when I'm with them, I'm in my city mode.
mm.
And there are certain things that I can't share because I might be judged. That was the story in my head.
Yeah.
And then I might lose the friendship and I don't want to lose the friendship, right? I mean, just all these
Mhm.
scared little 4-year olds running around in my head. And so, but as a coach, the I've gone through obviously the somatic coaching training with Strozzi Institute, but I've
Mhm.
also previously gone through New Ventures West, which is also a developmental approach to coaching. And in both processes, where it's strongly emphasized that you as a coach need to be the invitation for your clients. How you show up
Mm,
invites the clients to go deeper. And one of my earlier teachers said, be like the water,
mm.
lap at their ankles, and invite them in as though they were walking into the Caribbean.
Oh, well said.
Right. And so
Mm,
that's what I endeavor to be, is to be that strong container that provides a safe space for them to do that self exploration on their own time.
mhm.
This work is not for folks who expect a change from today to tomorrow or this week to next week. It's practice,
Mm.
and that takes time.
Well said. inviting,
Mm-hmm.
being, and you model this so well, the idea of being that person for others.
Mm-hmm.
How rewarding is that for you?
Fascinating, because as you say that, I
Mhm.
get the sense of seeking external validation
No,
and
internal.
internal
Internal.
validation. Yeah, because that's really what I feel. And it is, I want to feel that alignment internally. And there's a sense of ease that comes with it.
Mhm.
And that ease also helps me discern whether I am on purpose or not. And then if I am on purpose, extending from there in a present way. There's a lot less pretense. There's a lot, I can just be me. And that just extending from there is incredibly rewarding.
Mm.
And that's the way that I look at leadership is,
Mhm.
just moving to circle back to some of the opening lines, but that it's a way we walk through the world. It's not associated with title or responsibilities necessarily. And in an organization, leaders need to model
Mm.
what they want to see in others so that they can be the invitation. Not to say that they're going to be perfect. We aren't. We're human. We're fallible. But to be able to say, this is how I'm endeavoring to walk through the world, and I invite you to walk through the world in the same journey with me.
Mm. I love it. I love it. I aspire to be that Caribbean Ocean every day. And
Yeah.
I'm headed there tomorrow. So
Ooh, there
perfect
we go. Perfect timing.
timing.
So I can't wait to see what you feel when you put your toes in for the first time.
It's not the first time,
Well,
but
but on this trip, I
yeah,
meant, yes.
on this trip and thinking about it that way,
Mhm.
yeah, that's gonna be great. What are you currently working on that you would love everybody to know about before we
Mm.
wrap up today?
Yes. So I am currently offering an in-person 4-hour intensive. This is going to be February 6th here in Oakland, California. This event is in particular focused on attorneys, but it's really just to help attorneys become much more comfortable
Mm,
handling stress and chaos and giving tools for them to do so somatically.
beautiful.
And so, yes, there will be, you can there's a link.
Yeah, we'll share it
Yeah,
below.
yes.
Yeah, please, let's do that, and, may I suggest something similar for dentists? And we can talk about that because they are probably the most hated profession, and it does take a toll.
Yeah. I would be happy to do it for dentists. Anybody who's open to spending
Yeah,
a few hours with me in person, I'd love to do that.
I love it. I love it. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for the open and honest conversation today. I feel like I know you even a little bit better now. Please reach out to Thomas on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you're seeing this live. And I look forward to more conversations. Thomas, really appreciate you and our newfound connection. And thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Suzanne. It's been a delight.
You're so welcome. Have a great day, everyone. Happy Friday. Enjoy your weekend.